Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Hope you've had a great weekend. Happy Blue Moon weekend. If it was happy for you, anyways. Mine was pretty uneventful, but I did kind of notice I was getting a little crabby last night, and it was totally unprovoked. So it was just, I guess, the weird emotions and astro weather that's been going on. So, but I'm good today. As you can see, it's just me tonight. Miriam is out. She hasn't been feeling well today, but I figured that since last weekend was Memorial Day weekend and we bowed out, that it was probably best that I go ahead and jump on here, albeit later in the evening. Hope it works for you. If not, and if you're not able to join me, hopefully you're watching this on a replay and happy to have you here regardless. Feel free to leave any comments or questions in the chat that you may have. Um, I am just going to kind of flow with it. I'm just now realizing I don't even have YouTube pulled up. Go, Heather. Not really the one who handles the live streams. Normally, Miriam's the one manning it, so you're just gonna have to deal with what you got. I was lucky to even get it going at this point. So, jumping on. Let me make sure I got stuff muted. There we go. All right. Well, hopefully we have some friends joining us soon here in the chat. Let everybody know about it. For those of you that are our YouTube channel members, radicals, and the gatekeepers, and any of our Patreon members, I know it's been a slow roll at the signs. I've been busy with a lot of work, and Miriam has too. So I've got air signs that I'm going to be reading tarot for this weekend. So keep an eye out. That'll be posted. Yeah, we have been uploading good clips onto YouTube of these readings and prompting that the extended readings are available for our members. So if you aren't a member, we'd love to have you join as part of the community. You get the full tarot videos for all 12 signs every single month. We roll those out. But yeah, I am going to be doing air signs this weekend, so I don't have any plans really but to commit to that. And tonight, jump on with you guys and see how you're doing. I mean, the we've got some astro weather coming up that I want to talk a little bit about tonight. And this week's figure we just talk about this week in general without throwing it too far. Normally, I'm with Miriam doing that, and I got this. You may just have to watch me fumble over charts, but otherwise, we're all good. So let me jump back over here real quick and we will go ahead and see if we've got anybody in the chat. Hey, Brandon. Good to see you, babe. How have you been? Hopefully you and your mom are doing good after the move and all of that jazz. I'm trying to pull a chart up and kind of get to looking at the astro weather. Hmm. So currently, let's talk a little bit about the moon. Like I'm sure that most of you have already, I mean, the full moon's over. I mean, technically it still looks really big and beautiful in the sky. But this was a blue moon, and a blue moon being blue because we had two full moons in 1 month. Anytime that happens, the last one of the month is called the blue moon, hence once upon a blue moon. It's not that the moon's actually blue, but yeah, the moon has actually it's still in Sag right now, but it is void of course. And with it being void of course, it's going to be pretty much there until tomorrow night, like 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about that too. I want to say hey to Hone Tech. Hey, what's up? Welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. I so out of bounds. What the hell does out of bounds mean? For those of you that don't know, it has to do with basically where planets go above or below 23 degrees, which is basically where the Tropic of Cancer is. The when they go out of that range, which is where the sun usually stays within, and they're supposed to play, all the planets are supposed to follow the leader, right? Going around. um when they get out of bounds, they get out of whack and they get testy and they break rules. And so when I say void of course moon, it's a little different because the moon usually when it's on point and whatever, it's an intuitive sign. You're feeling emotional, all the things, right? But when the moon is out of bounds, especially in Sag, you might have, if you're around people, you might notice that people are really really vocal about their beliefs and really emotional about their beliefs and things like that. So it's that's something I kind of dealt with a little bit, but I cut it I cut it off really quick, and maybe that's why I was so testy yesterday. Hi, Astrology Bliss, good to see you, babe. Welcome. But with out of bounds, when the moon is out of bounds, it's a time not really where you want to go in and start new shit. I mean, new projects and things because things will kind of fumble. In a way, it's like a mini Mercury retrograde in a way, but it's more like emotional. It's a great time to be able to go internally and kind of, regulate yourself, take a pause in, moving forward with things. Personally, for me, I utilize it as my therapy, if you want to put it that way. Like I'm one of those people that I'm a hermit as it is, pure Virgo, right? I'm very hermit-like, but to me, just to sit back, listen to music or listen to podcast or read, just sit back. It's time to sit back and chill and not do a whole lot of things. The moon out of bounds is also a time where hmm, I'll tell you. I'll tell you this little secret. So, when you've got a moon out of bounds, it's a period when a lot of people are all doing the same thing, doing that internal thought process. Things are shut down. It's kind of a time where you can get away with playing hooky, if you will. Playing hooky from the world. That's kind of like that's my mantra. I like to play hooky from the world and just go within and shut all the noise off. But whether you want to go in and just create something, but it's not a time to like submit important paperwork or do any, and like tomorrow, if you got to go to work and whatever, I would recommend keep it light. Try, because anything that if you try to go overkill and start a new project and put in new work and try to submit it, something's going to be amiss. I've kind of heard this little thing that sometimes people like to submit their taxes, their tax refunds during a void moon. Not necessarily suggesting it, but if there's any misses, sometimes when it's evaluated, it gets missed, like overlooked, if I want to put it that way. So, anyways, a little sneaky, little trick for you guys. But we've got a couple of other planets right now that are really playing big roles this week in the astrology, that are actually also out of bounds outside of that ecliptic there. We've got Venus. Venus is out of bounds and Mercury is out of bounds. Okay. And oh boy, tomorrow we have Mercury going into Cancer. And I'll pull up a chart in just a little bit and show you guys and kind of talk a little bit about it. But like I said, when planets are out of bounds, they're like baby's kids. They just ain't acting right. So, if you think about the fact that Mercury is going to be moving into Cancer tomorrow, Cancer is already feeling on edge. The full moon was in Sag. It's, later tomorrow night it's going to move into Capricorn. And the full moon being in Capricorn, I say full moon, but it's waning down. But it's pretty somber, pretty serious. And the moon, that's Cancer sign. The moon rules Cancer. We got Mercury going in there. So Mercury is already buck wild and kind of just off the handle. To me, it's it being in Gemini, it's had plenty to say, and opposing Sag got the big beliefs coming out. But the um, Mercury in Cancer, it's going to deal a little more with, it's going to be a little more focused on matters that are happening at home. Mercury speaking more about the Cancerian type things like security. Your mind's going to be on home and your security and things like that, and that's great. But Mercury being out of bounds and Venus also being out of bounds talks about a little bit of discord in relationships, right? Venus is in Cancer right now with Jupiter, and tomorrow, Monday, the first, will also be with Mercury. So, that being said, you can expect that there's a lot going on right now with relationships, and dynamics within relationships. Mercury being out of bounds, Venus being out of bounds. They're both in Cancer with Jupiter, which is holy hell, just out of bounds naturally, because it's just Jupiter knows no bounds, right? It just expands and blows up everything that it touches. So I could definitely see some tit for tat happening in the home realms. If you're partnered and live with somebody, they're probably going to be extra emotional and vocal about it. And also just very like particular. I think as Venus out of bounds and Cancer is very particular about the way that she wants to be received, right? And Venus out of bounds, I can't help it. Venus out of bounds always reminds me of somebody that's a little more Lilith-like, and less willing to take shit, less willing to be cordial. And so, yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna continue harping on that. Let me go ahead, and I did not really load. I think I can let me just grab the chart of the moment here. Um, all right, get this going. There we go. Get it zoomed in. Give me a thumbs up and let me know if you can see this. Pretty please, if you would, in the chat. Yeah. I'm used to working with two monitors, and on this particular computer, I just have the one. So I'm crunching screens, y'all. All right. Yeah, I was just double checking on YouTube to make sure it was showing up. Coolio, coolio. As you see here, this is as of right now, 9 o'clock, right about meow. The sun's in Gemini at 10 degrees, and the moon has moved forward to 18. So I think it's actually pulling. Yeah, it's pulling tonight. Right on. we've got the sun opposing, obviously the sun's always opposing the moon, but Lilith is butted right up to that moon, further amplifying that. It's almost like a rebel. To me, Lilith in Sag is not only very vocal about her beliefs, and with the moon right there, it's obviously like emotional, but it's a few things. It's a willingness to accept things that are a little more taboo, if we will, a little more radical. Um, and also the other side of it. You know, Lilith bumped up against the moon has that feminine energy, or the emotional energy of um, what someone's not willing to deal with anymore. Maybe even a place where there's an illumination on um, where your beliefs, where your philosophies don't really match anymore, with even the people that you're partnering with. And this, I mean, this could have to do with dynamics, like we're talking Gemini, right? So it could be with siblings, it could be with cousins, aunts, uncles, friends that live close to you, even. Um, and or there might be big light shine just in general, moving from this full moon into right now, of a little bit of reflection on how your beliefs have changed even since you were younger. I That one just got came out to me. So let me look here. So we've got Venus. Hey, what's up? Venus has made it to the midway mark of Cancer. She's sitting at 15 degrees, 30 minutes in Cancer. And that's actually my Venus degree. That's why I went, hey. My Venus is 15. So right now I'm having a Venus conjunction naturally in my chart. It's also conjunct fixed star Sirius, which is at 14, which is pretty benefic. I would think that in most cases, I'd love to say that Venus is feeling pretty good, but she's probably more self-focused right now. There's a bit of an awkwardness right there. If you see that quincunx over to the moon and Lilith, when I say awkward, she may even be a bit bitchy right now. Let's put it that way. And or I just saw like somebody eye rolling as they were talking to somebody, their family or their spouse or whatever, like eye rolling at the way that somebody is expressing themselves. So it also, I mean, right now Venus is sextiling Mars at 9 Taurus, and that's her sign. Um, right now, Venus is being very I told you Venus is out of bounds. So that's one thing. But if you look here, she's in quincunx to the moon in Sag, right? But she's with the ruler of Sag, and she is the moon. I mean, is obviously Cancer's home. So I mean, there is some reception there, but that awkwardness is what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like where you try to let bygones be bygones, but something's itching at you so bad you just like can't stand it no more. So Venus, maybe honestly, she may be looking for a little more connection, or even she's not very, I don't think Venus right now is feeling extremely emotionally connected to those that she's with. And so that Lilith and Sag may have her looking outside of it, or maybe even just avoiding it. I just saw somebody like slamming a door and going, to another part of the house, leaving the house or something, just to be able to get away and get around other people that might match one's current state of resonance in the world now, if that makes sense. And it could even be just, doing whatever Venus pleases at this point because she is out of bounds. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and move forward because I think I kind of beat that to a dead horse. If I talk about Mercury, so well, Venus is out of bounds until June 6th, right? So this whole week Venus is out of bounds. Mercury is out of bounds until June the 13th. Whoa, I got a cat with zoomies. um, but yeah, Mercury's out of bounds until June 13th. The astro weather is going to be changing quite a bit. Yeah, moving up over these next couple of weeks, and Miriam and I will come on and talk a little more about that. Um, all right, and then so we already talked about Mercury moving into Cancer. It's close enough. I mean, you notice it's making a quintile to Pluto. There's some other action that's going to be going on, but I cannot help but feel that there's a conversation, almost a wink wink, that's going on with that quintile between Pluto and Mercury. I mean, right now, Mercury's at 29 degrees, still booking it. But it's at peak right now. So that's to me, that's just like learning, expressing, all kinds of information, taking in all the details, communicating with friends about deep things like I'm doing with you right now online, right? So, I think this is just the evening of a lot of people kind of winding down and letting their minds kind of flow a bit too. So that may be part of that Venus story where she's just disconnected and being like, yo, I'm out. I'm going to just kind of focus on me. And that's okay. Avoid a course more moon. That's exactly what most people would benefit from resorting to. So let's see. The oh, that's interesting. I guess didn't even. Wow, yeah. I mean, Cirrus. I'm moving backwards a little bit. Going down here to the fact that we all know that Uranus made its grand entrance into Gemini. It's got some action going on this week that I'm going to talk about in a bit too, but it's also coupled up with Sedna and Cirrus. Miriam and I talked in depth about Sedna and Cirrus before. You're welcome to look at our old stuff or just even the past couple live streams that we did. We went into great detail about the Sedna era stuff, so I'm not going to harp on that. And they're making a beautiful trine over to Pluto, which is also, as you notice, we've got the sextile down to all of this stuff in early Aries, early to mid Aries, with Neptune. Well, it's Neptune, Vesta, Pallas, and Saturn all right there. And in Aries. That has a lot of action to it. And I'll keep going further in this. But the fact that Sirius and Sedna are right there with Uranus, I got this like vision that has a lot to do with women, um, and women, children, abandonment wounds, how we nurture things how we nurture the things that mean a lot to us. And in Gemini, I can't help but see the duality of whether it's reciprocal. Um, that with Uranus being the sudden break, sudden intuitive, sudden flashes of insight, revolutionary change. I like seeing with that being in Gemini. I'm also getting the vibe of like, for me at least, I'll tell you, like over just the past day or so, like talked to a couple of my sisters. I talked to my daughter, tonight or this evening, I talked to my aunt. She reached out to me. So it's a lot of feminine connections, sudden interactions. And so you can kind of anticipate that that's going to be an ongoing theme. Um, not not even just for the next week, for the next little bit. Let's just put it that way, because later on this week, well, I mean, it's already kind of there. We've got Uranus. The nodes of fate are going to be squared up with Uranus. So we notice that the north node is in Pisces, the south node is at 3 Virgo. So I know this particular chart doesn't necessarily share it. I don't really have the extension for my tool to show you. Um, mm, this is not going to let me. Will this let me draw? Let me see. Let's see if I can be cool. Let's see if I can be a cool kid, y'all. Here's this. I'll just use a color. Okay. So I'm gonna use red. Let's go there. Don't don't balk at my lack of drawing skills, y'all. But it's basically making a square over that way. I'm using a mouse. This is not easy. And there we go. Where did my stuff go? I'm clicking on it and nothing's happening. Let me try this again. Wah, wah. See, this is these failures that I told you about with me trying to do this on my own, because I like changed computers, so I haven't added the extension, and Miriam is a whiz at this stuff. All right, so if we go from the north node or the south node down there, and that's going to square down to there. I know it's not the prettiest, but it's oh my gosh, I'm getting showed like because it's a square, right? Like it's like a 90-degree square from there to there. I got shown like that episode of Family Guy where Lois's dad is talking about acute angles, and he's like positioning his body in weird positions. Sorry, a nerd moment. Yeah. But anyways, that square there definitely creates some friction, but it also creates movement and action. That's what squares do, right? So the North Node being in Pisces at 3 and Uranus being at 2 degrees Gemini, it's going to be perfecting with that square. I want to say this here. I wrote notes, y'all. Um, I don't know. I'll have to look to see, but it's going to go to 3 degrees. Well, it's still got a good week or so here. I mean, because it's only at 2 degrees 4 minutes. So, anyways, but the feeling is there. I mean, we're only 1 degree off of that, and that story talks about the sudden breaks that are going to end up the sudden breaks and that are going to lead us into the new movement of our next. This full moon kind of reached this point to where things are going to start to look a whole lot different. And I know they've already been looking a whole lot different compared to where we've been. But it's the point of no going back. It's the point where the the parts of ourselves that nurture ourselves, let's put it that way, have realized, as Jupiter's moved through Cancer, has realized that there are things that have got to change and to better fit and mold those parts of ourselves that know that something has to change. So this just kind of really pushes and amplifies that energy over the next little bit here, couple weeks. But yeah, let me get that stuff off of there. Let me see here. Sorry, I gotta make sure all's well over here on the YouTube side. Hi, Jessica. Sup, sup. All right, glad you made it. I know you missed us the past couple weeks and you've been like commenting, hey, I missed your stuff. We're just kind of moving through this week in astrology and what's going on. It's just me flying solo, so um, you have to excuse my ugly chart. If I want a chart, I have to go move and make it for every day, and I just did not. Void of course moon. I ain't got to do shit. I just got to show up. You guys, excuse me, but it's not pretty, but it's here, right? Um, so what else do we have going on? So let's go back to Mercury for just a minute. So with Mercury moving into Cancer tomorrow, right now it's at 29 degrees Gemini. Tomorrow it'll be at 0 Cancer. It's going to be there a long time, y'all. It's going to be there until like August. I think we're right, August 12th to the 13th, depending on your time zone. And this is because our Mercury retrogrades this year are happening in the water signs. Yay. Notice the eye roll. Yay. Um, I mean, there's some good parts about it. It can be pretty damn intuitive, and revealing that way. But it's also, can get a little overly emotional and too vocal about the emotions. Not, I mean, and it's good to talk about your emotions. I almost see it as like a good time for some people to be doing some therapy, honestly, since Cancer trine Scorpio and Pisces. It's probably a great time to delve into the, deep psychological factors during this next few months that are encompassing the who you are, right? But yeah, it's going to be there for a really long time because that's where we're going to be having our Mercury retrograde. I'm going to go ahead and look here. We've got Tuesday. The sun is going to be sextile Saturn, and it's already showing it here on this chart. Um, Maybe prettier color for the sextile. I know you guys can probably see it, but it's just that blue line right there down to Saturn. Um, so this is a period where typically we can be a little more productive. We're a little more focused on the task at hand and getting shit done. Um, However, we need to remember that, remember I talked about the whole out of bounds shit, right? The sun's in Gemini, and Gemini's ruler is Mercury, and Mercury is out of bounds. Okay. And so the sun's in Mercury's house. And so the sun, by proxy, is feeling a bit of that, is feeling a bit of that angst, that little bit of you know, that little bit of pop off energy, I guess is the word I'm looking for, right? So with the sun sextile Saturn, now the sun's strong. I mean it's strong where it's at. However, Mercury kind of debilitates it a little bit because of being out of bounds, and it can make things. Let's look. I mean, the South Node's also in a Venus rule or in a Mercury ruled sign, right? It's in Virgo, and so Mercury may have or the sun being ruled by Mercury currently or in Mercury's house. It may have some hell-bent ways about going about what it wants to get done. Saturn just wants it done right, and it wants it done right. So you might notice that some people are pushy to get what they want done tomorrow, Tuesday. And you may be as well. And you know what? That's okay. I might just say, since you're listening to me and that this energy is in, your sphere, that you know how to hone it back and think twice, practice the pause, if you will, without snapping, without, saying, fuck it, I quit, without, you don't want to just get mad. I'm just thinking about like, somebody getting tired of hearing customers complain. And so they just, fuck you, I'm done with this job, I'm leaving, Saturn's work, right? Air, and it's in a fire sign, right? That's ruled by Mars. Where's Mars? Mars is right here in Taurus. What rules Taurus? And out of bounds, fucking Venus over here rules Taurus. So, like, it's like the sun, the moon, the, the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all out of bounds. Everybody's out of bounds. It's like, and I just saw like an episode of Jerry Springer, right? Like everybody throwing chairs and insults and and then making out afterwards. Why not? Maybe that's the way to get through this week, y'all. Throw chairs, throw blows, and then make out. I don't know. I kid, I kid. All right. So looking at Wednesday, we're gonna move forward. What do we got? Oh, that kind of goes back into this right here, where where Cirrus meets up. Cirrus is gonna meet up with Uranus. And that goes back a little bit more into and it's in Gemini, which is like a younger age. So that very well, there might be some big stories that start to come out about kids or school aged kids. I don't necessarily have any, with everything being out of bounds, there might be a little worry about that. But I mean, most school age kids are out for the summer or about to be, and that might be a good time if you're a parent or have to look after little ones. Do something in your local area that is sudden and spontaneous with the kids in your life. If you don't have any kids, do something spontaneous for yourself that's a little more childlike that you wouldn't typically do. Something that is nurturing. And Cirrus talks about unconditional love. It also talks about a relationship with the feminines and the parental figures in our lives growing up. So maybe, if you've got a family member that you haven't uh, seen in a while that you want to reconnect with and go, have a short lunch with, maybe even just pick up the phone and talk. I mean, it's Gemini season. Use your lungs, use your voice, articulate those thoughts and spit it out. It doesn't necessarily have to be a text, do something spontaneous. And help. That might help with a little bit of the erratic energy. I get also with this movement. I talked about how it's going to square off with the nodes of fate. I mean, that's pretty much getting stronger and stronger by Wednesday. And so if we, I don't know, do we want to look up some stuff here? Why not? I don't know how. There, let me get my pointer back. Um, let's see here. All right, I'm gonna stop the share for just a minute here, y'all, because I'm gonna go find what I'm looking for. I'm gonna go into Sabian symbol, because this is a pretty bold energy that's going on. Uranus moving into this big square with the north and south node. And I think just feel like I feel like there's a big turning point. And yeah, it's important we look at it. So we're going to round, where are they going to be squaring at? Nodes go retrograde. So I'm just going to hit 3. let's see, 3 Pisces. Boom. Yes. Nodes are always moving retrograde. It's their natural movement. They're the one planetary bodies, well, theoretically, planetary bodies that are moving counterclock, moving retrograde where everything else is moving the other way. So I've got that. What else does Heather need in her life? 3 Gemini. That's right. Um, all right. Interesting. Oh, and I lost my browser doing that. Hope you guys are doing all right. Sorry, I'm not really seeing what's happening in the chat. Good. Y'all are just here and chilling and listening. Void moon energy, baby. Do it your way. Do it your way. All right. So Gemini, 3 Pisces, and then I want 3 Virgo. Why not? These are kind of interesting. I haven't blended them together, but I will just go ahead and share screen again. Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll just start here. Gemini. So the Garden of Tuileries stages crystallization, bringing to bear the rational mind to explain the mysteries, solidifies experience into a foundation of knowledge, which I really love, especially since it's already like trining Pluto, right? Which talks about the deep unveiling of all the things. Let's see here. So, even though we can touch the depths of unconscious and heights of superconscious by temporarily suspending the mind's devotion to reason, this cannot last infinite, indefinitely. Sooner or later, the grasping mind must structure its perceptions and create patterns to explain them. This is form, this is thought form, and it gives rise to rulership and rituals as it centralizes the ego into discipline of clarity. Mm. So that point that I'm looking at is Uranus, right? We're looking at the Uranus degree. And Sabian symbols you round up. So Uranus and Gemini and Uranus, like you've heard me say over and over again, Uranus is like the higher octave of Mercury, and it's full of wisdom in Gemini, and not just because it's in Gemini, but because it's trining Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is Uranus's home place. It's home base. It's the ruler of Aquarius, and it's known for its brilliance. And Pluto there amplifies how powerful and profound the information is that's being dragged to the surface. I mean, most of you here are probably wide awake and have seen all, I mean, besides the technology in that trine, AI, you know, all the technological advancements that we've experienced just within this past year alone. But it's basically it's quick, it's fast moving, it's revelations, and mixed in with that deep knowledge and sextiling down to that Saturn and Neptune. I mean, this makes all kinds of sense. There is a crystallization that that is bringing and solidifying these mysteries that are just coming to be things that go from conspiracy theory to solid fact right in front of your eyes, and solidifying a foundation, Saturn. Like, it's like coming up with a new foundational way of being, of expressing, of living, and going forward. I absolutely love that. So it's squaring up to Virgo. Let's look the South Node, Virgo 3, two angels bringing protection, affirmation of higher personal power, right? You've heard me say before, the nodes of fate, South Node, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But South Node talks about things that are all way too comfortable to do, things that we need to release, though, at the same token, if we're wanting to ascend and move, towards our north node path. Um, Affirmation of a higher personal power. The Virgo Pisces axis in itself talks about that higher power. Um, on a spirit from a spiritual lens, right? Think about, I just saw Virgo being like the nun, right? And Pisces being like the church or the monk, the monastery, that having that, it does have it does service to others and then service to God kind of thing happening, right? But it's an affirmation of personal power at 3 degrees. We are comprised, surrounded, and impenetrated by structured life energy, which can appear to us as light beings, feeling the presence of non-physical beings of light. It's only in times of trouble that we access the highest possibilities of self, breaking through to a greater degree of faith and the corresponding growth of further possibilities. True. Whether we focus on more scientific or the more religious explanations is not our major concern. Guardian angels or unseen dimensions of the personal psyche, what matters is that we find the strength to cope, to grow through these dark periods. Man, um, that square with Uranus is like plugging in a wet light socket. It's got that shock to it that brings through, like there's a shock, a revelation that comes through that helps open up. Uranus and Gemini talks about the mind, the expansion of the mind, the letting down the layers of crud, like shocking through the layers of crud that we've been molded with since we were kids, right? You know how they say like kids are more susceptible to like knowing their past lives or remembering their past lives or seeing ghosts or spirits or those kind of things until they start to get older, and the Saturn part of life makes them get told, oh, that's just an imaginary friend, oh, that's just your imagination, and that's not real. So man, that's hella promising. That's kind of a breakthrough I've been waiting for. And North Node and Pisces talks all about that trust, right? Like trust in something bigger than yourself. Be willing to go with the flow rather than be so high strung like Virgo, to where the Virgo tendency, low vibe tendency to be overcritical, needing to see the exact proof. It's almost like Uranus is zapping Virgo South Node with a bit of, you said you'd believe it when you saw it. Do you see it? Do you feel it? I love that. Love it. Let's move on to 3 Pisces, where the North Node's at. A petrified forest. Man, looking at this, I just really want not only to go to a petrified forest, but it really I can't wait to get back to my stuff. Um, going to be doing some traveling soon, and I'm going to also be getting back to some of my stuff that I had to leave behind, which includes my canvases and my paints and my paint brushes. I miss it so bad. But yeah, I get to go get that in a couple weeks. Yay. Um, so the symbol, a petrified forest, long-term reach of social movements. And Pisces talks about the collective, right? Virgo talks about, I mean, work, things like that. So interesting. Gemini is your local environment. All right, sorry, I'm squirreling here for a minute. Long-term reach of societal movements. Imperfect though they are, records exist for millennia of social events that occurred so long ago. What is important endures. So read between the lines to infer whatever cannot be fully known. If we look at historical or especially geological periods of time as individuals, typically we are rather unimpressive. And yet collectively co create our culture and participate in getting that culture to make its mark upon its time and place. Thousands of years later, there are still enough clues from which we can infer the essential aspects of ancient cultures. This shows that it is impossible completely to destroy the effects of something that had once lived. Rujar says petrified tree trunks lie on broken desert land. Ooh, what discoveries? Because Uranus is discoveries, and Gemini is, yeah, definitely it's all about discovering facts. Whoa, what's about to come out? But if you think about it, in a way, it also talks about like I see like the ancestral lineage with it, right? Because the last one was talking about oh, let's see, we can go back to Gemini, talks about the unconscious and the super unconscious, right? And understanding hierarchy and privilege, right? So thought forms being changed about what's real and what's not real, right? That's the question, right? Like in Gemini wants all the facts. Uranus wants to have help with breakthroughs that are meant to better the future. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, the future. So this reading through this, it almost makes me wonder if there's going to be some ancient discoveries that come about. I could also say that this square has a lot to do with when I said ancestral has a lot to do, and then I just got reminded, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, although we've got all this energy talking about needing to break free from, like habitual thought patterns, ingrained beliefs and traditions and all that stuff that we grew up with, the truth is that our conscious is expanding. Collectively, the conscious is expanding and people are seeing things that they thought were conspiracy being fact and making them question everything. That's Gemini. That's Uranus and Gemini, baby. Question, question, question. And trine Pluto, these are deep reveals that are coming out that are going to change things. But like I also this I there's going to be a discovery and it's going to change things. And this discovery, depending on what part of your chart it happens in personally, if you want to talk about it on a personal level, Where does Gemini sit in your chart? Where does Pisces sit in your chart? Where does Virgo sit in your chart? Where is this breakthrough happening for you? You'll have to let me know in the comments. For me, as an Aries rising, it's happening in the traditional spaces, right? It's happening in my third house. It's happening, excuse me, in my third, my sixth, and my 12th. So, a lot of this I've been motioning through. I cannot really, okay, since North Node is in 12th house, I can't tell you, but it has to do with some deep unconscious things and Gemini thought processes. There's a lot that has changed because here, let me put it this way. North Node in Pisces has a lot to do with higher beliefs, but like when I say that, it's more like on a spiritual level. So it's more like a spiritual belief, spiritual understanding, um, understanding the difference between uh, illusion and reality, and taking off rose-colored glasses versus keeping them on, right? So it's about out of there, and it's going to be going into Aquarius, which is there's a lot of change going on. Miriam and I will definitely have to go for the long haul talking about that. But it's like for me, if it's, for me hitting my third house, which is about how I think, how I communicate, all the things, and Pisces and Virgo, my past since the nodes moved there, my past year, and gosh, it's been about working on 18 months. I don't know, maybe it's something like that, right? Because they'll be moving out very soon. But has been just undoing some things in my head, the wiring in my brain, that rather than thoroughly seeing, for example, certain people in certain ways, um, like learning not to over romanticize, but to be okay with with uh, the fact that I did before, So if you want to put it that way, like some, something ended, right? I had a relationship ended. There's all these things that go on in your unconscious that can really kind of mess with your head. And then you can look back and have hindsight and, whatever. It affected my work. My daily work changed. Um, my ability to deal with work and approach work the way that I always have. My habits have changed. So that's sixth house, that's Virgo, my habits, my work, my daily has changed. My mindset has changed, not necessarily a whole lot because I'm still very much Heather. And, like I really try to keep an open mind about everything, but my need to expand has definitely been impacted, and to even want to shut down. Let me put that square back into perspective in another way. So, things to shut down. When I'm on my social media, I've told you guys it's so important to train your algorithms and to train them to something that's going to feed your soul, right? Something that's going to something that's not going to keep you stuck at a stuck loop, right? So if you're feeling a certain kind of way, you're feeling down, depressed or whatever, and you open your feed and all you're seeing is about relationship endings, the world's blowing up, politics, all these things, it's important to throw in some, you know, talking animals, some bloopers, some, you know, scientific discoveries, something different that can get you out of that algorithm that's keeping you stuck. Uranus and Gemini is encouraging you to break free, and that action with the nodes is going to help you it basically helps break free You get to make a choice. It's that crossroads. You can either keep staying stuck and keep overstressing and keeping yourself sick with South Node and Virgo, or you can trust a little bit. That's the positive of North Node and Pisces. Have some hope, give it up to God, believe that things can actually work in your favor. Put on, some things in life, it's okay to put on the rose colored glasses. It's not okay to spiritually bypass, but so try to stay real with it. Mercury is also the ruler of Virgo, right? So keep it grounded, keep it light. It doesn't have to be so serious. Anyways, I've beat the horse to death here. We've also got what else is going on? Oh, okay. I was talking about the Sabians, and let me see. I don't think I had anything else to say about that per se. I think they pretty much speak for themselves. But one thing I did want to tell is that on Wednesday, when we're having that square start to perfect from Uranus to the nodes, we also have Mercury in Gemini square into Neptune. Okay. Or no, Mercury, I apologize, in Cancer square to Neptune. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Mercury square Neptune. For those of you that have it in your chart, take this for what it is. Don't argue with me in the chat. It's just what it is. Let me just say this. So Mercury square Neptune is, so if Neptune can be disillusionment, illusion, fantasy, all of those kind of things, it also dissolves, right? I just saw like a magician, like taking the rabbit out of the hat, you know, throwing smoke in the air, and then all of a sudden the thing next to it dissolves after behind the smoke. The person disappears, and so it's fog and mirrors. Let's put it that way. And if you got Mercury, which talks about communication in the mind, when it squares to Neptune, y'all, that's where we have people hiding things, hiding the truth, being sneaky, having a sneaky mind, um, setting people up for the benefit of something, or something facetious, something full of shit. Let me just say that, right? So on Wednesday, you may, I don't know, when I'm looking at the Uranus square and then seeing that this is also happening at the same time, the dynamic can play out to where somebody reaches out to you and goes, holy shit, did you hear that the sky fell? It's like Chicken Little. That's what it is. Like the sky is falling. Didn't you hear the sky's falling, or, whatever? And then everybody runs outside and there's nothing, right? Like it's bullshit. Um, Donald Trump has that in his natal chart, Mercury square Neptune. So Mercury square Neptune definitely is deceptive. It's lies, you know, it snitches. So, if somebody has this in the chart, like it can also be creative. It can be hella creative. So if you've ascended out of those kind of behaviors, and you don't do that, and you have it natally in your chart, let me just say that you've likely expanded your mind and realized that there is karmic repercussions behind that kind of stuff, right? And you've outgrown it, and maybe even learn to turn it to something more positive. Mercury Neptune squares can also be into poetry, writing, uh, like be an artist, be creative, be into, like I'm seeing, like music, right? Very Neptune Mercury is musicians, but it's also actors, right? It's also masks, not seeing something so clear, and having big beliefs, like seeing something as larger than what it really is. So just be careful of that on Wednesday. On Thursday, we've got Mercury. Where's it at here? Woo-hoo. Mercury is going to be quincunx Pluto. Okay. So it's almost like something comes out. Let me just say it news, right? Wednesday, and it's not just Wednesday. This whole week, there's going to be a lot of news, but Wednesday, there's going to be some big shit that comes out. And it's almost like, and I'm seeing like the news broadcast when they are announcing something. And that was kind of dark, but I just saw them like announcing that somebody had died or something, right? Um, okay, well, then that throws me into something else. Okay. So I'm sorry. It's almost like somebody broadcasts something and it's not true. And then it's like the whole village turns and looks at that person and goes after him when we have Mercury quincunx to Pluto. It's like somebody having their tail between their legs because they just got caught, right? It's like uh, it's like an episode of Cheaters. I'm gonna put it that way. That's kind of what I was seeing. Like I was seeing a news broadcast like improperly projecting that somebody had won or that somebody had died, and then the person walks out on stage and they're well alive, or then the person they projected they projected that won this race, political race, get they say, oh, this is the winner, and then, oh, it's not. It's that whole smoke and mirrors stuff. But Thursday, it's like something breaks out, and you may get a sudden phone call, text, email, visit from somebody, and they're telling you something, and something doesn't just quite add up, right? You're going to have that feeling that you're being lied to, or that somebody's hiding something. And this Mercury square Neptune into this quincunx is where you go, I call bullshit. No, I call bullshit on that. And you call somebody out. All right. So, again, you want to know where it's happening in your life? Take a look at your own personal chart. Where do you have Aquarius? Where do you have Cancer? Where is that at in your chart? Um, I'm also looking, it's also really accusatory. Like I'm feeling the Cancer energy that Mercury's going to be in Cancer, and realizing that Mercury's still out of bounds. And the fact that Ceres is paired up with Uranus, like we were talking earlier in Gemini. Ceres, like I said, also talks about children, mothering, nurturing. And then with Mercury being out of bounds in Cancer, where people, it's all about security, it's about home environments and things like that. Um, and Pluto being the deep reveal, that quincunx in there could speak also to news coming out about somebody who did some. I almost feel like news coming out about people getting caught doing bad shit to their kids. So I guess that could be a positive to that quincunx, but it's like a lie being exposed, a liar being exposed. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as that goes. Let's see what else we got. So Friday we have Juno, which so Juno is an Aquarius, right? She's Juno's at 10 Aquarius. Pluto is station retrograde, but it's at 5. It's at 5 Aquarius. So we've been talking these past few weeks on our live streams about the meaning of Juno separating from Pluto and Aquarius and having that break free. That Juno talks about partnerships, right? Um, Committed relationships, things like that. And when she goes retrograde, she's going to be getting retrograding closer and closer to Pluto. I mean, she retrogrades faster than Pluto does, but she's still a pretty long retrograde, just like Pluto's like half the year. She's several months too. She's basically going to be retrograde until Libra season, so late September, October, something like that. And what's that look like? So Juno's been in Aquarius. She's had a long journey getting there. She's found out all kinds of truths about deceptions and like about what there's a renewed sense of rebelliousness, but in a way that's very non like it's non-traditional. Juno has like learned so much shit. She's breaking free and being a lot more independent. She's open to new things, new experiences. Maybe Juno's dating around. Like Zeus, her husband, is a philanderer, right? Maybe Juno is dating around. Maybe she's, feeling a little more frisky and stuff like that. But she's also like very independent right now. So she's out on her own. She's learning a lot. She's doing a lot of exploring and adventuring. And she going retrograde is, I don't know. Yeah, retrogrades are when you go internal, right? But it's also the point where there's cutoffs, right? When we go internally and we've had a situation play out, let's say in the realm of relationships where Juno's at, and there's been a break free. Juno Juno retrograde is basically going to retrograde back to the point where that's where you see her really stepping into her own and more purposeful. Like, who are you taking with you? Who's Juno going to take with you? Or like, what relationships do you want to take with you? Have you, it's where Juno's doing all the cutting, right? Like cutting this off, cutting that off, cutting this, that, and the other thing off, telling people off, so that's where, you can notice that there's a lot of breaks in relationships. We've got Venus. This is way far ahead, but come later on this year, like I said, we've got Juno going retrograde until Libra season. Well, later on this year, we're going to have a Venus retrograde in Scorpio, right? And the Venus retrograde in Scorpio, it ties back to 2018, to 2010, 2002, I believe, right? All of those periods, you can count back, look back, what's going on. When Venus gets there, there's going to be those same themes playing out, over time. Maybe Miriam and I will go into a little more detail about that, but there's a lot of relationship stuff going on. So if you're in a position to where you've allowed yourself to stay somewhere where you're not happy, um, I just saw the eye rolls again. Slamming doors and eye rolls. If you're over that slamming doors and eye rolls, this out of bounds Venus, well, June 6th, I guess she's going to be, what day is that? Yeah. All right. Venus is pretty much out of bounds until right after this happens, when Juno stations retrograde, is going to be its most potent. So that's where you're going to see people cut people off for good. I'm done. I told you I'm done. I told you that one more time you do this, you do that thing, I'm gone. I'm out of here. You're not going to see me again. Those breaks are going to be happening. And if you're, you're if you're not partner or if you are partnered up with somebody and you don't want to have one of those breaks happen, communication is key. With all this Gemini energy that we have going on, it's really important to use that Uranian energy, use that Cirrus energy in Gemini to figure out a new way of communicating that nurtures both of you, to where you can open up and be a little more understanding. Gemini opposes Sag, where we just had this full moon. It's so important to communicate. And if you want your relationships to thrive and you don't want to stay miserable, something's got to change, right? Even if that means a couple needing to get into couples therapy or just get into a damn hobby together. Like if you got pickleball down the street, or join a summer bowling league, do something different, get out, make friends, live life a little bit, find, with Jupiter's been in Cancer for a while, and I'm just thinking, that can make the home energy really big, and to make people want to just stay home and, not do much. Um, Venus and Cancer is kind of like that too. And Mercury's going to be there. But this, like I'm saying, it's important to get out and just enjoy yourself. I remember earlier I was talking about doing childhood type things, childlike things, lightening the mood, lightening up. Uh, you know, the I'm getting the hypercriticism of Virgo, where Mercury's out of bounds until the 13th of June. Maybe even just evaluating, where have I been too hypercritical or too stuck? Where have I been thinking shit up that ain't really going on? That's another part of that Mercury Neptune square that we talked about today. So we've got a pretty emotional, up in our heads, stuck in our ways kind of thing. There's going to be some breaks that are going to happen, some breakthroughs. It's just your choice on which path you take, right? Are you going to try to keep things the same, stay unhappy, or, like if you're on that route, like, I'm just going to keep appeasing the other people because I don't want anybody mad at me, the walking on eggshells shit, I don't want to. If you're if you're going to keep coddling an unhappy situation out of that Cancer need for security, um, don't be surprised when Uranus gives you that break, that rug pull, because it's going to happen. I know that was a little all over the place, but that's really the most of what I've got here for you guys. Um, Thank you guys for stopping by and for hanging out with me. I know I've only been going for like an hour. What's going on with you guys? I hadn't. I'm void of course mooning this. I'm going with the flow. So anything that any of you want to talk about that I haven't mentioned, brought up, that you are curious about, let me know. I'm still here with you. I think we're still live. Better be. I got my live chat up, so we should be. Oh, there we go. I guess I've been going for over an hour. Not bad. Not bad. I don't know. I also am thinking heavy about this Chiron that's going to be entering Taurus. Um, yeah, let's talk a little bit about Chiron. Why not? While I'm waiting to see if any of you have any questions. for me. Um, there we go. I will share again. Me chart. I'm so excited to be doing some traveling soon. I've been in hermit mode for way too damn long. And yeah, it'll do me some good to see some family and be able to get some of the things. Like I've been feeling ultra creative, but like all of my jewelry making stuff, because I like to make jewelry. I've been wanting to bead and make some earrings, and I've been wanting to paint and all the things, and all my stuff is being stored. So I got to get storage and get some of that. And like I'm ready to stop hermiting so much. It's been a minute. Um, but yeah, we've got Chiron at 29 degrees Aries. Okay. Right now it's at 29 degrees Aries. Yes, it's still conjunct Eris. And you notice that it's got a square going up here to Jupiter. Ooh, Jupiter vertex moment in the eighth house. What big secrets we got? No, I'm just kidding. I kid, I kid. And it's also squaring up to Pluto. Okay. And so all of these dynamics that I've been talking about today are extra amplified at 29. That's the anaretic degree. It's the last degree of Aries before Chiron moves into Taurus. And I mean, Chiron moves pretty slow, but it's going to be there, and it's right around the damn corner. And that talks about the individual wounds, right? It talks about, I mean, 29-degree Chiron in Aries. Aries is the flame. It's fire. It's fast. It's a cardinal sign. It's gonna initiate action based off of a Chiron wound. Oh, that was messed up. So I just got shown, and I trust that I have nothing. Like randomly, this came across my Facebook or Instagram feed, and I don't know anything about it, but evidently, like, what is the Alaskan bush people or something? There was a guy that had a sudden break about his wounds, and ended up, you know, uh, from what it sounds like, lost his life under some pretty emotional circumstances suddenly and unexpectedly. Um, I think he struggled with some addiction issues because, like, I say that because his feed was coming through and like kept showing up different things of him talking, and he was talking about battling with alcoholism and some mental issues and things. And so this is where we're going to see breaks. This energy is heavy. It is really heavy. I mean, it talks about Jupiter in Cancer is big. Chiron squaring it has to do with our minds, our beliefs about our security or lack thereof, our wounds. So if you've got somebody that you love or care for, or even hell, a stranger. I just saw like some people out on the street that were just really struggling. So, or a stranger, somebody who looks like they're at their wits' end and may take an impulsive action um, to hurt themselves or others. Take it seriously. Maybe this is a point where you could honor some of that random nurturing of somebody that really needs it. And I just heard, anytime you need a friend, I will be there. Whoever threw me that song, I don't know. My guides throw me the most random shit. I'm telling you. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit about what I posted, because I know that all of you here don't necessarily follow me on social. But I had some recent recent dreams with songs and music, and yeah, why not? I'll kill more time doing that. But Chiron's also squared to Pluto, and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. That talks about the deep subconscious fears, like the psyche, right? And so Chiron right here, and you notice there's got a quincunx to Mercury. So this is it's pretty uncomfortable. I feel and I fear that there's a lot of people that are up in their head with some really ugly truths that they haven't been willing to face for a long time. And it's got them feeling pretty hopeless. So, and the dynamic of that, and if that's you feeling that way, the moon will move. These planets will get out of void of course. Things will become clearer. Give it some time. You're worthy. You're worthy of this life. You have plenty to offer. You are valued and you are loved. So, if this is you, reach out to somebody you love. Use that Gemini energy. Pick up a phone, call somebody. Don't just text. We need to move past that Pisces hidden shit of just being behind the scenes, right? Being the hermit behind the scenes. Pick up the phone, do a video call, reach out to somebody you care about. You'll get through this. Like, just reach out to a friend if you need to. You you got this. But if you know somebody, take heed. Take heed that it's hard times for people right now, and that impulsive Chiron. Yes, it's mature at that age if it's done the work, but guarantee there are a lot of people in our lives and our kids' lives and our family members' lives that have not done the work, and they're really feeling quite fucking helpless right now. Okay. So just keep an eye out. And I'm getting thrown back to Cirrus again because I know I was talking about Juno, and you guys have heard me talk. Maybe you haven't, especially if you're new here. I personally, in the studies of astrology, have noticed where Juno and Cirrus both play big parts in death charts. Okay. So if I swing back for a minute to the fact that Sirius is conjunct Sedna and conjunct Uranus at 1 and 2 Gemini. Oh, goodness. I don't like that feeling. I don't like that feeling. But that could also have to do with people suddenly checking out. Okay. I just saw like Cirrus is the almost looks like the scythe, the tool, the scythe where you harvest down some wheat. Cirrus, wheat, mm, you know, the grains and things that people use to make alcohol, certain alcohols, right? Um, Drowning. I'm starting to like see a bunch of different stuff. So that's as an intuitive astrologer, it's how it works. You can either go with it or not. But what I'm seeing is people drowning, trying to getting further depressed and, wanting to escape it. But Neptune's in Aries now, so it just makes Neptune. It does make Neptune in Aries. It's impulsive, but I'm seeing people like use addiction issues, and maybe that's why I got thrown back to that Alaskan bush guy because he had addiction issues, and rather than curb the habit, rather than get the rehab or the help. And I'm not talking about just him in general. Just, I've, I've lived with, I've loved, I do love, I've been around addicts and people that have severe depressive issues. You know, those suicidal type tendencies, and that is a train wreck waiting to happen. And with Cirrus right there with Uranus, squaring the nodes of the sixth house of health, 12th house, talking about the unconscious, the things that we don't see, the subconscious mind. That could be a really rough place. And so I know I'm harping on this, but I'm just getting thrown all over the place. And it all stemmed from trying to talk about Chiron. There you go. Chiron at the 29th degree. But when it goes into Taurus, that is a whole new vibe. And I know a lot of people that have 0 degree Taurus placements, and I know that's going to be really uncomfortable, but it's going to be a big shift for the collective. It's going to be coming out of the wound, right? And the I think a lot of us are struggling because we do our best to get by, and then you have these fixed sign, and even Aries. What's interesting is we're dealing with an identity wound as a collective, right? With Chiron, this trek that Chiron's been on since what, 2018 through Aries. And it's about this identity wound and how we carry it, how we embody it. Another thing I'm getting drawn to tell you is that a couple things. The victim mentality. One, I'm getting thrown back to that because a lot of times when people do struggle with a lot of issues and traumas that have happened to them, they tend to hold that as a almost like a almost like a banner. They wear it as a can wear it as a badge that this is who I am and this is what I've suffered through, and you need to feel sorry for me or you need to accommodate me. That is going to change and be changing. So I think that I'm seeing people that have all these different wounds and traumas, and I have them too. I'm an Aries rising, so trust this fucking transit has not been fun for me with Chiron. But it's like you can't. I think that there's people that evolve, and there's some people that just get older, right? And when you have people that you care about and love, for example, that are struggling with addictions and struggling with depressions and struggling with a lot of different things, they can either hide it and try to pretend that everything's okay, or they're pretty much all out there, as is, right? But what I'm getting is at 29 degrees, that story, if you will, about your individual wounds is getting played out. And by that, I mean the friends that are tired of hearing your story. The same story you've been repeating over and over and over and over and over again to nauseum, and not doing anything to change your perspective on that story, where you've come since then, how you've healed and evolved since then. I think that people are getting to the point where they're having a hard time wanting to look at that, not only look at but wanting to hear it without going, yo, wake up, wake up. You've grown so much since that happened. Like, let's do something different. People are like, I'm getting like the some of those people may be feeling very ignored and therefore feeling unseen, and therefore maybe using that opportunity of, okay, I'm too much. I've always been told I'm way too much. My actions are way too out of line. I I don't like this feeling. Okay, I'm going to get out of it really quick, but it's like people checking out because of feeling like they're not, you know, being loved, or that maybe that they're a burden on others. So that's kind of what I was seeing and what I was getting at with that. But with Chiron moving into Taurus collectively. So Taurus talks about all is, like it's all of our senses, right? But it's everything that we value. It's ruled by Venus. So you can think about Venus things, food, money, you know. I keep hearing touch, touch, touch. Taurus likes touch. Taurus likes the smelly, the feely, the touchy, the, the sound, the whatever. But what I'm getting at is it's our resources. Okay. And when Chiron, since it's been discovered, I think it was in the 70s, when Chiron transit through Taurus happens, that's typically where you see famines, shortages, inflation, hyperinflation, market crashes, like big stuff starts to happen, and people have to rearrange the way that they live their everyday lives, like I just heard low budget, like recording a video with your cell phone versus having the high tech cam, I know that was lame, and only a few of you will even get the low budget thing. But um, like rather than going out to dinner as a family, maybe you can't afford to do that anymore because of inflation. Maybe, people lose their jobs. They lose their what they hold valuable. They lose money. You just can't quite can't quite deal anymore. Positive outlook of it would be I can see some very Venusian ways of healing the Chiron wound. I'm seeing like a bunch of people, young, young and old, going into groups and doing like art therapy, and music therapy and sound therapy. Or I'm thinking like the sound bath, sound bowls. My head is tingling, so I'm sorry, guys. I'm just starting to channel and see all kinds of things. So, we've got some changes that are coming afoot, but the energies this week are pretty damn volatile, if you will, angsty. So if you, I don't know what you need to do. I just saw somebody have like a hair tie on their wrist and snapping it before they snap. Maybe somebody needs a panic button. What I mean by that is like if you find yourself this week getting stressed out with someone, a situation, your job, and you don't want to end up with that out of bounds Venus Jupiter retrograde or a Juno retrograde moment that we're coming into, that makes you want to suddenly break away. Perhaps you need something that a stress ball. I'm seeing a stress ball with the pig's head like blowing out big. A rubber band on your wrist. Anything that can keep you from wanting to do that cardinal action, of moving forward and like ending something, cutting, severing something. Okay, that's bringing me to Mars, which is in Taurus. But okay, well there you can see Mars and Taurus. Just think about a bull and the I don't, is it Toro? Where you got the bullfighter with the red cloth. You know, you don't want to have the if you don't want to charge at the red cloth and take somebody out, and you don't want to quit your job, or you don't want your relationships or your friendship or something to snap, then find something that you need, whether it's having an earbud in, having I'm hearing like binaural beats playing, or I don't know, whatever your thing is. Leave it in your comments if you have to resort to us, because Lord knows we could all use some more stress relieving ways to keep us from snapping in this crazy Uranian energy. And hi Lupita, hi dear. Jessica says it sounds sounds ugly. You know, it is, but it's also perspective, right? Like that's what I love about astrology. You really get the choice. Knowing astrology and knowing that it's raining outside, that you should probably put on a hat and a jacket's important, right? Like, so if you know that the astro energy is going to be testy, angsty, full of manipulation and bullshit, then you know when not to believe something, right? Or it can help you better manage. It can helps you better manage life and all that is. Um, Jessica says Chiron's going to activate her sixth house in this transit. What's your rising sign? Hey, Wendy, good to see you, dear. Um, so Taurus. So are you a Scorpio rising, Jessica? If you're arriving late here, Wendy, it's okay. I still love you. Um, you'll definitely want to re-listen because I just decided to come on and do a little bit of talking about the void of course moon. It's just me tonight, and I know last weekend, um, Miriam was under the weather, and I really was feeling like I just needed to hands off of everything. So she's under the weather again today, but I felt like since I missed last week, I wanted to hop on and just, you know, shoot the shit, give you guys a little bit of fair, little bit of armor to go into this week with. That way, you know what to look out for and some of the vibes that are going on. But it's all about perspective, right? So when you say that it sounds ugly, yeah, I mean there's definitely some ugly parts, but it's how you manage to handle it, you know. So if you can put on that hair tie on your wrist or whatever it is that's, I just saw somebody, you remember, I don't even remember what commercial it was. Maybe it was in like Staples or some shit like that, where they had the easy button, like the red button. So like if you at work or whatever, like know when to take a break. Maybe that's some of the feedback I can probably give to help, is if things are getting too hot and heated and you need to take a break and walk away or practice the pause. Since it's Gemini season, I just saw somebody going on their phone and chewing somebody out in a novel text message or DM, right? Uh, Rather than hit send, don't even get into the messages. Go to your notes on your phone, hash it out there, let it set for a day or two. If it's still relevant in a day or two and you don't need to, or if you want to tweak and modify it, go back and then you can copy paste it and hit send. But give it, this week is the time to where you send that message that's telling somebody to fuck off, believe that it'll likely be for good. And sometimes we can act impulsively and not really want that. So, self control is very, very important. So, easily know that if you overdo it, if you decide to let, and I'm not judging in any way, shape, or form, but let's say you have a stressful day at work or whatever, or if it's just your lifestyle and you decide you're going to have a few drinks, you're going to have a couple alcoholic beverages, whatever. Anything that you intake into your body. Mars is in Taurus. Mars does not like to be in Taurus. It feels restricted, stuck in the mud, and held back. So look at all the action that's happening in Aries, right? Like you will you'll be apt to be more impulsive if you are indulging. Let's just put it that way. So that might not necessarily be the right move, but hey, if you're wanting to cut shit off and you're wanting to speak your mind and have those kind of moments, and you need the liquid courage, then more power to you. I ain't gonna judge you one way, shape, or the other. I still love y'all. I'm just here. I'm just here, y'all, to kind of tell you what the astro weather looks like. Uh, you work at the hospital and it's been, oh, okay. So Lulu says, I work at the hospital and it's been wild. Also, my sister crashed my car and my dad is wilding out. Despite the craziness, I feel chill inside. That's growth, babe. That is good. That's exactly like the crazy that I'm talking about. Coming from me, I've been sharing the screen this whole time. Geez, y'all. You could tell me when I'm being dumb. Like, that's going to look horrible in the live replay that I just kept the chart up the whole time as I'm talking to my friends. But Lulu, trust I get it, babe. Like, and I hope your sister is okay. And that sucks that she crashed your car. That's a whole Taurus Scorpio thing, your stuff and other people's stuff. But I have Uranus at the end of my seventh house in Scorpio. And so trust that the biggest, craziest shit that has ever happened in my life is always suddenly from other people. And a lot of times it's other people that I wouldn't have expected. It's always you can't. So when I'm sitting here telling you about the energies of Uranian stuff, it could be anything because you can't predict Uranus. It is unpredictable. And anytime you think that you do know, like, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to, not with Uranus there. You can't tell what's going to happen. So, like, when you let your sister hurt your car, there's no way in hell you knew that she was going to get in a wreck. But I will also say, that with all the Uranian energy going on right now, I had an older cousin hit me up and she was like, yo, what is going on with the planets? Like I had a tire blowout. I was on the highway going like 70 miles an hour and I had my grandkid with me. And then my son got into, totaled out his car. Uh, a dump truck rammed into my daughter's car and totaled it out. And this was all within a period of a week, just a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, welcome to Uranus and Gemini. Gemini rules transportation, y'all. So Uranus, ruled by Aquarius. Let me just put it to you this way. The trine is there. This is one of those examples of one of those. This is the second time when talking to you guys that I've heard this phrase, so I'm going to spit it out there. Girls Gone Wild. You remember that shit like from back in the 90s? Uranus gone wild, y'all. So Uranus rules Aquarius, right? And it has a trine up to Pluto, which is in its house. Pluto's visiting Uranus's house right now. Pluto is death and transformation, right? Let's put it that way. Aquarius, one of the things about Aquarius, besides being futuristic and revolutionary and inventive and stuff like that, it's also very much the vibe of air, the universe, right? Like air travel. Gemini is travel. Vehicles are travel. Bicycles, walking, your body, ankles is ruled by Aquarius. So, what I'm getting at, accidents are going to be pretty prevalent for the next foreseeable 8 years. So, but it's all really heavy right now. And there's with a lot of angsty energy and people acting impulsively. I could just say that like almost pretend like we're in a Mercury retrograde, right? Where I say Make sure to slow down, pay attention to where you're walking, pay attention to where you're driving, don't be distracted, but in regards to the whole flying thing and what I was getting at is that trines make things happen easier. If Uranus is unpredictable, things in the sky may be falling. We're noticing all this shit, right? Like these comets or whatever. I say comets, but meteorites, whatever, like falling to Earth, or to me, I say very well it could be like alien, stuff out of a different dimension, but that's for another day and another level of Heather crazy. But like air travel disturbances, Pluto kills things, it transforms things, and Pluto is in Aquarius. And there's a trine from Gemini, which is talking about all the type of transportation. So sudden breaks in air travel, sudden stops, ends, the way things are going to happen are going to change. The way that people communicate and are doing technology, sudden impacts are going to change. This could mean that, who knows, those little cables running under the ocean that help run our internet and our YouTube and our social medias and the only way that we communicate with people could suddenly be cut, right? Could be just poop, gone. And what do we do? What do we do? We freak out? Or do we sit and chill and be like, Heather told me this shit was going to happen? No. No, but you're right. You're right, Lulu. The fact that you're just sitting there chill and your energy is exactly what I'm talking about. Like knowing what's coming at you makes it a whole lot easier to deal with, 100%. And it makes you be more flexible when crazy shit goes down. So, Jessica, rising is Scorpio. Yes, dang, you're good. My natal Chiron's at 17 Taurus, sitting among a powerful cluster of Taurus energy in the chart. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Chiron all in Taurus. Damn, babe. All right. So you're having your Mars return right now. You're going to be having your Chiron return. Now that's deeper, right? So I work Placidius, right? So, like, what I mean by that is if I just share this with you, if I go get my life together one of these days, let me close this out, show the chart. Boom. Oh, these pop-ups. That was weird. My screen just totally went black. Okay. Let me get in here and share my screen. Okay. Okay. And we're gonna zoom. It's too much zoomy zoom. Oh, I just got like reminded to tell you guys something stupid, but it's related to what we're talking about. Okay. So sudden breaks, right? Like your girl does her own nails. These are my real nails. I love to paint and I've loved to paint my nails since I was a teenager. Well, this thumbnail broke all the way down there. Like this one is not even that short. So know that this is my texting thumb, right, y'all? So I've been having these wanting to snap moments every freaking time I send a text message because I'm a whole letter or two off like 20 times in a row. And as an Aries rising, I really just want to snap. So Uranus and Gemini strikes again. It is impacting my ability to communicate. Dang it. Dang it. Sudden breaks. All right. So this is my chart, and what did I bring it up for? Sixth house. Oh, Taurus. Girl, we ain't far off. We're really close in age, I bet, because I got Chiron in the first house at 18 degrees, right? Um, but it's in my first house, so it does talk about an identity wound, and several different things and trust. It's part of my life. I got a finger of God to Neptune and Pluto. All the changes and transformations led me through to my higher faith and my knowing to God. Yeah, Neptune up in Sag. Um, yeah, I forgot why I brought up my chart. I was going to point something out, but then I had a brain fart. Um, I know I don't have your chart information, but so I'm having a Placidius. Ta-da! Got it back. Okay. So people can do whole signs to where, like right here, you would notice Aries like would take up the whole house. Taurus takes up a whole house. With Placidius, and this is what Miriam uses too, it is per degree, right? So I was born at 19 degrees, 22 minutes, where Aries was on the horizon, right? Like that's where I peeked out and said, "Hello, world. I'm Heather, and I'm here." Right. So the Placidius chart starts your rising sign, like it starts with your rising sign degree, and it goes by degree. So every sign, yes, it has 30 degrees. But if you're saying, like, for me, I'm worried about, look, I'm relieved to have Chiron moving out of Aries as an Aries rising, because pretty much like all of, like, I want to say 2024 and 2025, a good part of 2025, Aries, shit, even 2024. So like the new moon solar eclipse that happened on April the 8th of 2024, it was at 19 degrees Aries on my ascendant, and Chiron was with it. That's how long I've been dealing with a Chiron since the 19 degrees in my first house, since April 8th of 2024. So we're just about to end that, right? And April 8th, 2024 literally flipped my whole freaking world upside down, y'all. I cannot tell you. You think this is important to know. So, like your rising sign, where your rising degree is, if you look straight across, so this is my ascendant, this is my descendant, right? This is my MC, my midheaven. This is my IC. Okay. So these are like known as your 4 points in your chart. Okay. And for me, having that eclipse right there on me, your first house is you and your identity and your body and how you look and how you come off to the world and present yourself, and it very much impacts how the experiences that you have in your life, because it designs the rest of your houses and what planetary ruler or sign you have over each house, which very much dictates the life themes that you'll have throughout your entire life, your life experiences. So with Chiron going into 0 degrees Taurus, I'm going from having it affect me and my body to have it affect my everything Taurus, everything I value. I do have Taurus over the second, but you notice that my Chiron's not until 18 degrees. Now, what that means is that I'm going to be coming into my Chiron return within this next couple of years, as are you, Jessica. So you're going to have the Chiron's going to, when a sign collectively, when a planetary body, asteroid, whatever, enters a new sign collectively at 0 degrees, it's at its purest, it's at its pedigree, it's at its strength, basically. And so collectively we'll feel that jump. I'm glad to have it moving out of Aries, but I'm also got a good part of my first house in fucking Taurus. So it's still going to be affecting me, but to me it's going to be to me I think it's going to be happening in two parts of my life. So if you, Jessica, have Chiron in your sixth, like at 17 degrees, then depending on where your sixth house starts, at what degree your sixth house starts, indicates how soon before you actually have that immediate impact, that immediate Chiron return. Miriam just finished up hers, or she is finishing up hers, one of the two. But everybody has it. It's clear. It's typically when you're closer to, 40, 47, 48, 49. I might be a year early by saying 47 because I'm 46 right now. And I'll be 47 in August, and I know Chiron is not going to be there yet. So, but when you're around your late 40s, everybody has their Chiron return. Just like everybody has their Saturn return right before they turn 30, or as they're, 20. That's why they call it the 27 club. You have your Uranus opposition, your, your Saturn return, all the, it goes in time. But so what I'm getting at is, like, even though collectively it's talking about, how it's going to impact our stuff, our values, what values we hold to our core, what we possess, and what possesses us. I'll put that up that way. How we work, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be impacted. But if you want to look, I guess what I'm getting at is, if you want to look individually, how it's going to impact you directly, you would look at what house it's happening in. And if you want to know when direct impact happens, obviously, it's not going to be like, if for those of us that are in that age range to where we're edging on our Chiron return or have Chiron in Taurus, the Chiron story, although it's going to be pretty fresh, it doesn't realize our charts aren't always about us. So if we have family members or whatever that have stuff at 0 Taurus or early degrees of Taurus, they're going to be feeling it a lot heavier, and we value them. So therefore, we're going to need to be there for them more, right? But as it gets closer and closer and closer to me at 18 degrees, um, I don't necessarily know what to expect, because I feel like I have done a shit ton of healing. I've done a shit ton of transformation, but it's going to not necessarily be the easiest thing. Sometimes, even for myself, even though I've healed through a lot of shit, it's not easy to look at, to talk about certain things. We all have our thing. But if what I'm getting at here is, it's not going to be until it's at 20 freaking 4 degrees that it even hits my second house of what I value and what I possess. So I just a little bit of astrology lesson, a little bit about that stuff. I'm gonna stop sharing my chart here. Um, all right. So you're April of 1981. Yeah, I'm August 23rd, 1980. That's me. Yeah, it has been some hard years, Jessica. But when Chiron goes into your sixth, so that talks about your everyday work, like your everyday habits. And Taurus is, I mean, okay, so I'm literally just getting drawn to, it may have to do with your daily rituals and your health. And I just like saw like somebody, probably you, needing to take a certain part of your day every day, even if it's like the first thing in the morning, waking up an extra half hour to 45 minutes to an hour early to have more alone time with your thoughts, with whether it's with your coffee or listening to a podcast, or, you know, deciding to put on aesthetic, put on your face. Venus ruled, right? Um, Something's going to change in your patterns, and maybe it, like I'm seeing, you need to take extra time to yourself, because it's important with Chiron going through your sixth house to have it be beneficial to your health, because with the fact that you have a huge stellium, Chiron's going to be transiting all of those personal planets of yours. And that's not, you're going to feel it, babe. You're going to feel it. And so you're going to have to be, even though you're Taurus, which is so Taurus is very fixed, right? But it's in the house of Virgo, which is a mutable sign. So this is where I say, don't throw out all the South Node, Virgo. Don't throw the baby out with bathwater. Virgo has some good traits that you could integrate, since Taurus is in your sixth house, of like taking better care of yourself. Sixth house, you're talking about that could be health. The opposition is mental health, you know, um, service to others are so you're constantly like a slave to everyone. Is that what's happening? Like, are you constantly doing for everybody else to the point to where you're not being fully valued or recognized the way that you need to be, the way that you feel like you need to be? Because all of this stuff with Aries, Chiron at 29 degrees talks about maybe right now this is some of the preparatory shit that you start to think about to voice to those you care about. Where do you, and it doesn't, I'm being shown your work. It doesn't just have to be in your family, right? Like, or your living unit, but your work. Are you undervalued at work? Is there something that you offer that is worth more than what you're being given or paid? Like, is there, I mean, clearly you're in the service industry, right? Like in one way, shape, or another. I mean, that much sixth house energy, you you're always doing, you're always working. And the Chiron going through there could very much be showing you that if you keep this up at this level, you're going to get sick. The sixth house is all about health. Okay. So that's just my little 2 cents for that little part that I've got there for you. I've been going on way too damn long here. I thank you guys for hanging out here with me, but your girl needs a break, and I got to get all the air signs done. So don't forget, as my radical and gatekeeper members on YouTube and our patrons over on the Patreon channel, um, all so air, earth, and water signs tarot is up for your viewing pleasure. I just need to get to the air signs. I have the next couple of days off, so I'll be gradually getting those as I can. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me tonight and giving me a little company in the chat. Sorry that I don't have my sidekick with me, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're here and you're still around, give me a like, give me a hype, share this stuff with your friends, y'all. We are so getting so close. I want to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, and I want to just keep going. So be sure to share, share it on your page, on your social, share it with your friends. Miriam and I would greatly appreciate it. And in the meantime, I love you lots, and have a great week. Don't take anybody out because you'll get found out. That's how this works.